We spend more than 2 hours a day, some of us even up to 5 hours, scrolling on social media. That's not counting podcasts we're listening to, the books we're reading, or what we're hearing from the people we interact with every day. I think if we were all to pause for 1 minute, we can think of something we had heard today that we thought was interesting or that we wanted to keep top of mind, yet we can't. For example, a book someone recommended to you, or a good series your coworker told you to watch, maybe even a new marketing tactic that you want to implement in your business. But are you able to remember what it was? We're drowning in a sea of information, oftentimes called information overload, because we have nowhere to digest or store everything that we are consuming on a day-to-day. Lucky for you, today you'll get all the implementable tips from the book Building a Second Brain that reveals exactly how to solve this information overload problem. Because we all know it's not just about reading, but actually putting it to the test. And ironically, that's exactly what this book talks about. When you transform your relationship to information, you will begin to see the technology in your life not just a storage medium, but as a tool for thinking. Like a bicycle for the mind, once we learn how to use it properly, technology can enhance our cognitive abilities and accelerate us towards our goals faster than we could ever achieve on our own. The solution for information overload is building a second brain. But what is it and how is it even done? Think of your second brain basically like a notebook, GPS, journal, and toolbox all in one. Tiago Forte, author of Building a Second Brain, breaks it down into 4 steps, and it's very easy to remember using the CODE acronym. Step 1, capture. You're receiving so much information. It's all around you. But what actually matters to you? Not what your friends or coworkers think is important, it's what you find important. Keep in mind, no one else has access to your second brain, so it doesn't matter either way. The goal is to capture what's going to help you solve a problem in the future, maybe save time, or even provide insight on something later on. Can't think of anything right now? Try this hack that I loved from the book. Write down a list of the top 12 main problems you'd like to solve. For example, how to have a toned body, how to find the love of my life, how to give back to society when I feel like I have no money or no time. How can I actually create the habit of going to bed earlier? How can I say no in a polite way to people I just don't want to spend time with? How can I make more money? Or am I already too late to learn how to use AI? We all have certain things that come up again and again in our heads. And those common topics are the perfect things to keep in mind when deciding what to capture into your second brain. So you already know what you're on the lookout for when consuming. Now we're going to step 2, which is organizing. This is probably the most important, so pay attention. It won't be helpful if you capture tons of information and then have no idea how or where to find it because it's completely disorganized. First things first, where should your second brain be? It's up to you, but it needs to be digital. So you have a handful of options. Every phone has a free notes app, and that's probably the best choice for 99% of you. Other options are Notion, Evernote, Obsidian, and even Google Keep. From there, on the app of your choice, you're going to divide it into 4 to keep it organized. And again, it's super easy to remember with the acronym PARA: projects, areas, resources, and archives. Projects are things you are currently working on that have an end date or final resolution. For example, at work, it could be delivering a project to ABC client or finishing designing the website. And in a personal aspect, it can be to remodel the kitchen or even book your next family vacation. Areas are topics that you were involved in for a long time. For example, growing your business, improving your parenting skills, and even working on your health habits. Think of this section as the main pillars you revolve around day to a day. Resources are important information you've come across that you'd like to remember yet doesn't belong in a project or specific area. For example, the best restaurants in New York or how to change a tire with no tools. And the last folder is archives. Think of this as your brain dumpster where you put completed projects, areas that are no longer active, and resources that aren't relevant at the moment but might be sometime in the future. Using the para system to keep your second brain organized is a game changer because you are sorting information based on how it's going to be used in the future, not where it came from, which is usually how we tend to write things down and why we never end up going back to it or using it. Going back to the CODE acronym after you've captured and organized information, step 3 is to distill it. This means to make the information yours. It can be by rewriting it in a way that you understand or making it relevant to what you think you're going to be using it in the future for, or even highlighting the most important part. There's nothing worse than knowing you wrote something down, something good, and then looking back at it and not even understanding what you wrote down. Distilling the information is how we're going to solve that. Highlight, bold, color code, and make notes on top of it so you know exactly what the information you're sorting is for. The final step of code, step 4, is to express. This means building and putting that information into action. There are reasons why you stored it in the first place, and it doesn't mean it has to be perfected or completed for it to be shared. Instead, by sharing your idea with others or beginning to put that information out, you begin crafting and molding that vision you once had. And that's what the creative process is all about. We spend countless hours reading, listening, and watching other people's opinions about what we should do, how we should think, and how we should live, but make comparatively little effort applying that knowledge and making it our own. The coolest part is that your second brain is always on. It has perfect memory and can scale to any size. Just imagine that. It can store as much information as you want without it feeling overwhelmed, much like we do when we have too much going on. If you've already read the book, drop your thoughts down below. And if this episode left you hungry to know more, the book link is down below in the description.